Hey, I'm Matt. Today I'm going to show you 5 jigs you've never seen before that's going to change your table saw life. Let's do it. And to make it easier to make these jigs, I've got plans available for you so you don't have to keep up with measurements while you're watching the video. If you want to check them out, link in the description to the website. Number 5 is by far my favorite. Wait till you see it in action. And if you stick around to the end, I got discount codes for you for a lot of this hardware we're using today. This video is not sponsored, but Mike Taylor from TableTools.com is the originator of these ideas, and I'm just translating them into video for him. If you'd like to check out any of these products, links in the description below, all at TableTools.com. Let's go. So we're going to be using bow featherboards for these jigs, and the reason these were chosen was because they're safer and they're just better for kickback. The way they work is really unique. A couple of things to note is these feathers are actually foam, so they're not going to mar your wood, and if they do get damaged, cut, whatever, you can just simply pull these out and replace them very inexpensively, so that's a good thing. Also to note, they're very quickly adjusted, about a quarter turn on these knobs, and you can move this up and down, in and out, and a quarter turn back locks them in place. Once they're locked in place, the unique little S shape you see when you push your stock through them, they're going to move toward the blade. Should there be a kickback incident where the blade's wanting to push that board back, the way these lock in place is nearly impossible to cause a kickback. I am pulling with everything I've got, and it's barely moving. With everything I've got, and I ain't no weakling. So they work extremely well. Going the other way, they slide very smoothly. I love how these things work. Another benefit of these foam pieces is if for some reason these do get into the blade, I would much rather have these little foam pieces coming at my face than those plastic shards on most other featherboards. So I think these are just a safer, better option. For this first jig, we're just going to measure your fence, and I'm going to cut it just a little longer. For me, I'm going to cut this one about 40 inches, and I'm going to rip it 5.5 inches wide. I'm going to use a combination square set at 1.5 inches and then just scribe a line. So to find out where you want to drill your holes, we know that it's 1.5 inches down. We're going to measure in about 10 7/8 or so, 10 3/4 from the end. Take your featherboard. This is a power tip straight from Mike Taylor himself. Take your featherboard and lay it on the piece, and then take a brad point bit or something sharp that you can basically punch a hole. Just reach through and punch that hole. That's going to tell you exactly where to drill these holes for this board. We're going to move the board down 10 7/8 from the end, or 10 3/4. Punch 2 holes. So you have those holes set. If you have the smaller bow board, then you're going to want to place this to where you can move this around a little bit. This hole is about 16 1/8 from the end. 16 1/8 from the end for the other side. Then we're going to put one right in the center. Now for the drilling the holes, I'm just going to use this bit matches a carriage head bolt. You don't want to use the bow hardware because you want this carriage head bolt that has that square on there that's going to lock this in. So we're going to drill those holes. Now when you tighten that down, that carriage head bolt's going to sink down into that plywood, and it's going to lock that bolt in place, which will lock your featherboard in place. All right, here's another power tip from our man Mike Taylor on how to route these dovetail grooves on a router table. This piece is, we're going to be routing about 7 inches, 6.5 inches from the end. If you try to do this by hand, it can be very, very dangerous, and you can't really hold it steady. We're going to make a jig for the router table. We're going to cut this as square as you can get it using whatever method you need to make. Then we're just going to glue a handle, which is just a strip of plywood right on top. This jig does 2 things. It's going to keep it square to the fence and safe as we push through, but it's also acting as a sacrificial piece on the back and preventing that tear out that you see a lot of times. Let's cut it. That worked awesome. I don't think I've ever felt safer using the router table for something like that. That is a really good idea. Thank you, Mike. Super clean cut on both sides too. We'll do the other side. All right, so now we've basically made our jig for this featherboard. It's that easy. This is the simplest way to make one if you don't have a metal fence and you just need to attach it. These are the match fit dovetail clamps. They're going to slide right into those grooves that we just routed. Now, one thing to keep in note, if your plywood or your board's a little bent here, then you want to make sure that the bend is going out away from the fence on the ends and you pull it back flat. Once you have it locked in place, we're ready to install our featherboard. We're just going to use these carriage head bolts, your Bow Featherboard Pro. So this has its pros and cons. The pro is if you're cutting dados or rabbits, things like that, you're going to be able to get that fence as close to that blade as possible and just use this as a sacrificial fence in the way. This will give you about 2.5 inches clearance, give or take a little bit with the fingers of these things, and you'll have 2 points to get pressure down all the way through that cut. If you combine one on the table with these two, you've got it pushing both against the fence and down for a nice, accurate, precise cut. You can also use the smaller featherboards here, either 1 or 2 of these as well, at any one of these locations. The con is you can no longer use your fence guide gauge to tell where you're at. So in other words, 1 inch is not going to be 1 inch because you have this piece on there now. Now there is another way, a few other ways to get higher clamping capacity above the blade or above the table so that we get more clearance than 2.5 inches, and we can still use our gauge on our table saw fence so this piece won't be in the way. Let me show you. Now we're going to be making the base for the next jig, and we're going to be using these mag switches. If you don't have any of these, I'm telling you, you'll use them all the time in a bunch of different jigs. I measured over 2 inches from the end and then center of my board. These are 150-pound magnets. We're going to use an 1.5 inch Forstner bit and drill this hole. I always drill until I feel the point of this Forstner bit popping through, and then flip it over, hit the other side at the exact same spot so we don't have any tear out. So we'll do the other side. These 2 holes should be about 13 1/4 apart. They're going to be for your jig hardware, about 1 1/4 inches from one edge. I want to drill this pilot hole or a countersink hole first. And this is just the diameter of my carriage head. Shouldn't take much. That'll make sure that head goes below the surface of this so that when we put it on our fence, it won't be interfering anything. So now we're going to build our sled that the featherboards are going to ride on. It's going to look just like this. So we got a couple of corner blocks to cut, but these slots can be a little tricky, and I got a power tip for you. But this is what it looks like. I just wanted you to know this is going to set down on top of the fence, the piece we just made for the mag switch. And then this whole pattern is exactly the same as far as the distance and spacing as we did on the first jig. So pretty simple. Let me show you how to cut these grooves safely and easily. I've got a 1/4 inch bit. Rule of thumb is you don't want to cut deeper than the diameter of your bit, so I have it a little less than 1/4. I also have that line as the center line of my bit, so I'll know where to start and stop. I've drawn 2 lines on here that are 3/8 inches away from the edge. Then we're going to start here, end here, right? I've set up my stop block, and you're going to line up that line with this line. Once they line up, you can set your stop block. You can use any type of clamp or something just to keep this from going too far to the right. Once that's in there, we're going to lower this onto that bit, move everything over until it hits this line, and we're going to stop, okay? And then we'll raise the bit up and repeat the process until it comes through. We're going to do the same thing just like we did on that other board. We're going to scribe a line at 1.5 inches, which is center of this board, just like we did before with the brad point drill bit or whatever you got that you can use to make an indentation in there so that we can set these points. Make sure one goes right in the center. And then for these two, you're going to put those in there just in case you want to use this as only one instead of using both of those. Then we'll drill the holes just like we did before. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes. So we're going to cut 2 corner blocks for this jig, 45-degree angle, about 2 inches, length this way and this way. For this jig, we're just going to set this piece on top and glue them together. I like to use wood glue as well as CA glue. CA glue will just help stick it initially, the wood glue permanently. We'll make sure the slotted sides goes on top. You're not building a clock, so you don't have to worry about extreme precision. You just want to flush up the front. Now we'll put those corner blocks on the exact same way. You just want to make sure they're clear of those holes there. Put them right close to the end. You should be all right. This just gives everything extra strength and support. It's going to need it. And we'll give this an hour or so to dry, maybe a couple hours. Now it's time for our plan to come together. We built this base piece. Remember, we got those carriage head bolts in there sticking straight up. It's going to ride right in your fence. You're going to use your mag switches. That's going to lock that piece in place. Now, for our carriage, it's just going to set right on top. A couple of jig knobs. Now this will move up and down the fence however far or forward or back of the blade you need it, and then lock it in wherever you want. Carriage head bolts, This will give you almost 3 inches of clearance, about 2 7/8 of clearance from the table to this. One positive of this is it's flush with the fence, so you can use the gauge on your table saw fence to set the exact right width of your cut. So that's really cool. It also, with the mag switches, you can easily take this on and off as needed, so it's not in the way. It moves forward and back of the blade. This one will accept 2 at the same time if you wish. You can use also 1 of these or 2 of these smaller ones if you have these. It has a tiny bit of play, but it's not enough to affect anything at all, because once you lower this down and you lock it in place, it's going to do its job as far as keeping pressure pushing down on your stock while you make the cut. So this is a really cool jig. I got a couple more. All right, remember a while ago I showed you how to, that's a southern term. A while ago I showed you how to route those dovetail grooves into the board that's narrow. Same thing I did with this one. Now, Match Fit sells this hardware kit that's like 10 bucks, super cheap, and it works with their dovetail system. So all you have to do is get a couple of these, slide them into the dovetail joint. Built another sled, just like we built earlier. Hole spacing is a little different. We're just gonna go with 1, or we can do singles of the small one, right? Whatever spacing you cut these grooves at, you drill these base holes. Match Fit also has the little knobs of theirs. This is great if you're uncomfortable cutting those slots like we did earlier, because it's a little unnerving if you've never done it before, or if you already have the Match Fit system. Now this will slide on that same rail system that we have earlier, forward and back, just like the other jig, but we're using the Match Fit system. We can use a single. We can double these up if you have 2, or you could put 1 of these either where they're at, and then of course the mag jigs come loose and you can move it forward or back of the blade. Now we're moving on to 4A and 4B, which are really cool. I say 4A and 4B because there's basically, these are similar but a little different. This one has the riser and this one is flat. Same hole spacing, that 13 1/4 spacing, same slots in this piece. Made this piece a little wider at about 5 inches so we get more travel to the left, so we can get further out in case you got wider stock. Going to use the same jig hardware, except this time we've put a piece of T-track in the middle of this board. What's awesome is the bow hardware works with T-track, not all T-track, but the one Table sells, I'll link it to in the description below, works perfectly with that. Now we can also use, again, the single, just like we did before, or we can use the big boy, the double. Now the benefit to this is once you have your jig set, it moves super easy up and down the T-track because it's sliding in that track. You can make this as long or as short as you want it. This one's at about 14 inches, so plenty of travel there. And then also, of course, you can move this forward and back too. So there's tons of adjustability to this jig itself. 4B is similar, but it will give you more travel over the blade because you don't have that upright to contend with. The only downside of this one is obviously you don't get the height as far as up off the table for that featherboard to go. So you're going to be limited to thinner stock. We'll measure and see how much. This one's about 1 3/4 inches. So if you're working with 3/4 inch stock, 1 inch stock, 4/4, it's going to work very well for that. Anything above that, then you're going to be looking at wanting to get one of these with a riser on it. You can probably get away with making this about 6 inches or so. This will get you about 3.5 or so away from the fence. Good enough for most wider stock that you're going to be using. This is just a good alternative. The great thing about the vertical featherboard is you can actually place them right at the blade and not have to worry about it binding anything up or causing kickbacks or anything like that. One of the things I like about this version is you just cut the T-track to the length of this, which is about 14 inches, and then you just screw it straight to the end of it. Next thing we're gonna do is build these upright jigs to hold your featherboards in your miter slot so you don't have to attach them to your fence. It's a pretty cool little design. It's gonna work awesome. Let me show you how to cut this groove in this narrow board because that can get a little hairy and we want to do it safely. I've cut a piece of hardwood about 1 1/4 inches wide. It's a little over 3/4 inch thick. 3/4 inch stock will work just fine as well. So what I've done is I've marked a center line in the center of that board, which is about 5/8 of an inch. And I'm gonna turn the router on and just kiss that board so that we can see if it's actually in the center. Once it is, I'll show you how to route that safely. All right, that's where we want it. Let's do it. We're just about 1 inch off of one end and we're about 2 inches off of the other end. And I've marked both those lines and I've got my fence, that line is set up right in the center of that blade. I've also got a stop block here so that I know that I can stop at that point or start at that point and then stop at this point. So that's going to give me 2 ways to stop that. Now, nobody would want to route that by hand with their fingers that close to the blade, right? Take some really good double stick tape, just like this. We're going to lay it on there. We have this piece, just a scrap piece of plywood. Flush it up with the back side, push that in place. Now we've got a handle to route this, and since it's flush, we can hold it against the fence and help everything remain steady. Now, don't route all the way through that. Too dangerous to do it that way. Also very hard on your bit, so we're going to lower that a little bit and make that cut. Now we're going to glue the pieces together. On your other piece, on the longest side here, you'll cut a 45 on this end. You'll have a shorter piece that is about 5 1/4 long, and we're going to drill a hole for our hardware to go through, and then a small 45-degree block. It's going to be in our corner block to add that support. Just glue all this up. Again, I like CA glue to help speed things up, just to hold it while the glue dries. If you use CA glue, be careful putting your fingers on that joint because you will glue your fingers to that board if you're not careful. If you've stuck around, you're in for a treat of treats as far as jigs go. Super simple to make and super useful. If you're still here, comment here and let me know. Now these bow products come with this bar, this miter slot bar that spreads out as you tighten it, so it's going to fit most any miter slot, which is awesome. This jig actually gives you 2 ways to put pressure on the stock you're cutting, down and against your fence, so you're going to get super precise cuts every time, and that is awesome. Now there's one tiny downside to this method is these featherboards are a little less than 3/4 of an inch, so if you're going to use 3/4 stock, what you would need to do is either make you a little couple of spacer bars, and you can get up to 1.5 inch thickness on your stock you're using, or thicker, it just depends on that. Or even a little washer setting on there, or a couple of washers on there will space that enough, more than enough, to give you 3/4 inch stock to pass through under there. So that's an easy solution there. I'm going to show you how secure this is once it's in place. So on a featherboard next to the blade, you want to make sure it's behind the blade and not at the blade, because you don't want to cause a pinch and it'll cause a binding, and you just don't want that. This will let you adjust this top featherboard over close to the blade. You're going to cinch these down snug. You'll adjust your featherboard to the thickness of your stock. Look at that. Look how strong that is. Look how strong that is. Like, that is so secure. You have to really put your back into it to make it even move. That's awesome. This one's my favorite, and there's a few reasons why. A, I can use a push stick just like normal and push this right through the cut. B, it's almost impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm going to say it's almost impossible to get a kickback with a featherboard on top and on bottom. So this is super safe. And 3, it just looks awesome. It's highly adjustable. That's number 3. I'm just joking. Thank you to Mike Taylor for sharing these ideas with me. This video is not sponsored. Mike Taylor is a huge supporter of the woodworking community and this channel. I put links in the description below to all the products you see today. If you choose to use those links, I will get a small commission for you using those links, but that's a great way to support me and Mike Taylor at TateTools.com, as well as Bow Products, a 2-man team making these awesome products. Mike was kind enough to extend a 10% discount to my viewers. If you use the code 731MicroJig10 or 731Bow10, you'll save 10% off those products. Thank you, Mike. If you like this video, you'll love the Jessamine stock guide video for the table saw that I did just a few weeks ago. Click that box right there. Click in the box to get you a big old virtual fist pump. Also, another one of my favorite videos right there.